This afternoon is going to be a bit more sort of personal experiences of people, like their experience with recovery, with the services. So we're going to have 4 shares, but then after we're going to open it up for half an hour. So if anybody does want to share, either share back a bit on what was shared or your own experiences, then yeah, we'll open it up at end. So I'm going to start off with Chris.
Cheers, Dan.
Who's been very much looking forward to this one. Over to you, mate.
Well, yeah, my name's Chris, I'm an addict. For anyone that knows me, I'm actually really nervous. I'm shaking now as I'm speaking.
Still in my room.
Sorry, Dan. Yeah, I'll just go from the start. Childhood. Dad left at a very young age. I had another man in the house, which I sort of had to call Dad. I knew he wasn't my dad. And from a very young age, I sort of witnessed a lot of stuff at home that you shouldn't. A lot of domestic violence. I was sort of beaten, pinned to the floor. I spent a lot of time in my bedroom if I wasn't out of the house at another relative's home. Not a nice environment. It sort of got to the point, about sort of 9, 10 years of age, I also used to take the blame for my younger sister. So I used to take sort of beatings when it wasn't even due for me, not that it should be for any child. I sort of carried that through sort of later years of my life. I did have some nice times at home. I was very privileged that my auntie and uncle had an only child, so they used to take me on some really nice family holidays. I've sort of travelled all around the world, but I always sort of had that fear of when that holiday was over, I'd have to go back home. So yeah, not enjoyable. School, I think it was about 13, sort of got in with an older group of lads, and that's where my using drugs started. I started smoking weed, and it was a little escape from reality for me. I'd be out all hours after school, I'd go back late, I'd even go back later than I was told to, and again I'd suffer consequences for being in late. I'd say probably about a year of that, I'd sort of then started drinking at parks, with obviously my own sort of age group, and just sort of progressed from there. I couldn't be asked for school, I sort of gave up on myself. I was a class clown, joker, very destructive. I wasn't actually allowed to sit in many of my key subjects. I was sat in like an isolation room, all my own doing, until they sort of had enough of me. I got kicked out of school at about the age of 15, no qualifications. I think the last thing I'd have sat was your mock sats or something. Luckily, my granddad had a family roofing business, so I sort of landed on my feet and went straight into that. I think I got kicked out of school on a Thursday and I was working by Monday. Very soon that drinking at parks disappeared and I was drinking in pubs with fully grown men. Sort of usually on a Friday, and then it slowly slipped into most days of the week. My dad actually run a pub that I used to go to quite a bit. He come back into my life around about 15. Sort of always, the only social time I had with my own dad was in a pub, drinking with him. You know, none of this going out and doing stuff, everything revolved around the pub. I think I was about 15, coming on 16 when I first tried coke. And for me that was like again an escape from reality. I sort of enjoyed taking drugs. I enjoyed the way they made me feel. Just an escape from everything really. I always remember my dad actually catching me in the toilets at the pub, doing a line, and to anyone you'd sort of expect your parents to be telling you off, he actually told me to move over and sort of threw him one. So it sort of become the norm that I could go down to the pub, drink and use coke and not suffer any consequences from that. Again, I sort of moved away from all my own sort of age group. If I wasn't socialising with adults in work and outside of work, that's just where I was at. I soon sort of had no friends in my age group. I think about 18, I sort of become, well, I started dealing cocaine. wouldn't have to pay for drugs myself. And obviously, again, I enjoyed the way it made me feel. People wanted me for something. And that sort of went all the way on into my 20s. I met my missus, Rose, who I've put through quite a bit of shit. She stood by me through thick and thin, to be fair, and you know what I mean, I really don't deserve her, but she has stood by me, so hats off to her. We had a child at about 25. She knew what I was up to, sort of asked me to slow it down or stop. Obviously I tried, lied to her, said I'd stopped. But my drug use and drinking just got heavier, but obviously out of the house, and I'd sort of denied even been doing anything when I got home. Birth of my first son, I was completely wired. I couldn't wait to get out of the hospital, which is sad really, because that's meant to be one of the happiest days of my life. I'm not saying it wasn't, but obviously it was clouded with drinking drugs. I sort of always worked. Like I say, I fell into the family business. My granddad retired. My uncle sort of semi-retired, and I took on the responsibility of running the company for him. Again, it was a lot of weight and pressure. I was good at what I did, but at the same time, I was just abusing myself and drinking drugs. It soon left the pub and actually come to work with me. I was waking up in the morning and going straight to the off licence to buy a drink. Obviously sniffing whenever I could at work. Yeah, it just spiralled. At about the age of 30, I had a massive fallout with my uncle. I wasn't in the best places, he wasn't in the best places, and we haven't spoke for the best part of 8 years now. But that did really mess me up. He was like a father figure to me. He was my go-to person. I went to him with everything. And obviously it didn't do me any favours to do it. I pushed everyone away. I got in with an even worse crowd, and I picked up crack cocaine. While in the process of having our second child, moving house, trying to run my own company, it was just a lot of pressure there, and I didn't speak to anyone. So I soon found heroin. Always said I'd never touch it, and yeah, that's where my life sort of spiraled out of control. Well, I mean, it did before, but admittedly, that's for me where it was started really going wrong. I wasn't capable of going to work without drugs. I wasn't capable of looking after myself, let alone my children, my missus. I just pushed all my family away. I'd go on benders for days on end, turned into weeks on end. I think the longest I ever disappeared for was about 5-6 months. Obviously my money ran out, I went back home, my tail between my legs. I tried getting some clean time. I think the most I ever got was probably just shy of 3 months, and that was with like 24-hour supervision from every single member of my family. And that's no life to live, is it? I had to ask for money to go and get tobacco. Cheers, Dan. With that, obviously I wasn't allowed at the family home. I'd sort of stole from that. The worst one for me was I stole a dead grandma's ring and went and pawned them. I knew it was wrong, but I was already spending that money on the way down to the pawn shop. After a while, I obviously couldn't physically go to work without drugs, so I did start dealing crack and heroin. I was living out of my car, and then consequences finally caught up with me where I was stopped on the spot by HCID with crack and heroin in the car, cash, phone. I was banged to rights, so I had no way out of it. I had no family left to turn to, and luckily I had no idea why, but they still had a little bit of hope in me that obviously I'm not that person, and it was the drugs that had gripped me. So my auntie had found Jericho House on the internet. Obviously she passed me the number on, and I made the initial phone call and got booked in for an assessment. Funnily enough, Dan did my assessment actually, and I didn't ask many questions when I was there.
You were very enthusiastic.
No, my mum was waiting outside for me. Dan actually had to relay everything he told me. to my mum. And I was on the waiting list. I think I was quite fortunate. I was only ringing up for about 4 or 5 weeks. They'd just come back off a trip to Cornwall, and I sort of landed the next week. Didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know it was a 12-step NA-based sort of treatment centre. Like I say, I did not ask one question on my assessment. Like I say, I thought it was just a drug problem. I didn't realise it was going to be a me problem. I was a very quiet lad. Took me a long time to actually figure out where the office was and to knock it and have a chat with staff. I'm a lot better at that these days. I think I was about just shy of 3 months in, and I got a really bad phone call off my missus. She was in tears before she even sort of said hello. Didn't really know what had gone on, and my mum had been rushed into hospital. Turns out it was stage 4 glaucoma, brain cancer. At that point, I think it was about within 10 minutes of the phone call, Neil had agreed for someone to take me straight down to the hospital to go and have a look at her, to go and see her. And from sort of that moment on, I realised that they had my back. The love and the support that they've given me throughout has been amazing. I had an opportunity in treatment to go and help out at a project in Wolverhampton for the ladies' side for the Jericho Society, and it was nice to be down there with the volunteers, putting my sort of skills to use of making amends towards women, basically. So I did really enjoy it. I got a lot on that treatment as well. I'm now, obviously, I did graduate Jericho, the egging and the flowering, as has been mentioned earlier. Completed the aftercare sort of programme, and to be honest, I thought I was going to jump straight back into work. Obviously I spoke to staff and that, and before you know it, I sort of took a liking to the idea of volunteering. So I come back on a Tuesday every week and go back on a Thursday, come and do a day and a night shift. And I never thought I'd have been doing it, to be honest. You know, I'm a junkie that went in there that couldn't be trusted to hold in the keys and the contents of the safe when we go out for a meeting and stuff. So it's like, what a turnaround. When I left treatment, I still had the consequences of my using and being caught by the police hanging over me. I think I got a court date 2 weeks after my aftercare had finished, so there was every chance I couldn't have been sat here in this seat right now. I was looking at 4.5 to 7 years, but through doing something about it and going to treatment and the backing of the staff, I just about got away with it. To be fair, I've had quite a lot go on. I've had more stuff go on for me since I've been in recovery than I did when I was in addiction. My granddad, he's been diagnosed with cancer of his esophagus. He's not too well at the moment. But again, whenever these things come up, I go straight to my sponsor, I go straight to staff. I talk about it these days, I don't just bury my feelings and sort of ignore them. I was in a position where my auntie had contacted me and asked me if I could have some time off from my shifts. Obviously I asked for my blessing through staff, and they said no, that's, you know, you could do what you've got to do. So I sort of stepped down from the volunteering to go and care for my granddad for a while, sort of making amends to the whole family really. Life's good. I'm a parent. I engage with my kids. Sports. We've been on holidays. Just my life is good. I couldn't ask for a better life at the moment. I'm there for my family. I don't want for nothing. I ask them how they are on a regular basis. You know, I go around and I do stuff and don't expect nothing in return. I don't know where else to go with that now. But no, I owe everything that I have back in my life down to Jericho and everyone that's helped me from day one to now. You know, as long as I get my head on the pillow tonight, I'll wake up 22 months clean tomorrow. Just thank you all for listening. I don't know if anyone's got anything from that, but I'm still nervous now. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you.